Welcome into another Running with the Timberwolves podcast on the Believe Sports Network. My name is Gabe Anderson, and I'm joined, as always, by Chris Emerson. Chris, how we doing?
Doing well. We got a little break here. We're on I think we're the second hottest team in the West. So yeah, let's just keep rolling.
2 wins in a row is the second hottest team in the West. Although the West had a bad night last night.
I think of the last 10.
Yeah, that's true.
I think we're something like 7-2 or something like that going into it. Or
yeah, it was really just those 2 losses for sure against the Pelicans and the Clippers. But anyway, we're also joined by a very special guest, back by popular demand, Charlie Walton. Charlie, how you doing?
I'm doing well, man. I've always enjoyed these, so I appreciate you having me back on.
Yeah, we've had your zone coverage compadre on last week, Andrew Dukowitz. So
the Duke.
The Duke. Yeah.
The Duke.
One of these days, I want to have both of you on. Just got to make the schedules work. Why don't you tell everyone where they can find you on the internet and your writing as well, and basically where they can find you?
Yeah, just Charlie Walton MN on Twitter or X and Instagram, and then write for Zone Coverage. I got a weekly column over there. So.
Absolutely. And by the way, I always mention this on the show. I was very surprised to find out that Charlie is like basically an NBA small forward in height. Like for the kids, he's actually a 6'7". You're right. You're 6'7", right?
Well, I put the foot in between those two, so I don't actually have to say that to save myself a little embarrassment. But yeah.
Yeah. So if we ever start a team,
that's a smart move.
Yeah, you're starting in the front court. So let's get right into it. Basically, on today's show, we're going to talk about Ayo Dosunmu, the fit so far. We're going to talk about Julius Randle and how he should probably be an all-star. And if he's not already, maybe there'll be an injury replacement. But let's just talk about Ayo. Let's just get into it first, Charlie. What have you seen out of Ayo, and has he impressed you so far?
Yeah, definitely. I think the first thing that stands out with him is the pace that he plays with. Chris Finch mentioned it after the game, I believe, to Atlanta, where he's like, he just turns turnovers into points quickly. And that type of pace, I think, both in the half court and in transition, is something the Wolves really have missed. But to me, the biggest thing that he brings, even more so than the pace, is just that ability to consistently give you 10 to 15 points a night efficiently, right? Minimizing dribbles, doesn't need a lot of shots. I think that's just really important in an ecosystem. When you've got Ant and Julius, even when they're not on the floor, they just promote more of an ISO heavy, game. So I think, Ayo was my favorite trade deadline target for the Wolves. I think he just perfectly fits, where the Wolves have had shortcomings. I think he's the quick drying tar to Minnesota's potholes this season.
But I like that.
Yeah, right. But in all seriousness, I think it was a very solid addition. I'm glad that the Wolves didn't get Giannis in a way. I think this is more of what they needed, was a guy that can come in off the bench, be efficient, fill that Nikhil void, at least offensively, and provide some assistance to Naz Reid.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Chris, before we get to you, I just got to ask Charlie real quick. Were you, because we didn't get to talk to you before the trade deadline, were you on the Giannis train at the time, or were you like me, scared out of your mind that we were going to blow up this team for an aging 31-year-old who's 7'4"?
Yeah, I was definitely on the supplement the roster train. I always tend to be a little bit more conservative when it comes to like roster moves, what the Wolves should and shouldn't do. It's one of the many reasons I'll never get paid $11 million to head an NBA front office. Tim Conley, he makes those big decisions. He makes those big splashes, and his track record on those moves so far, he's, what is he, 3 for 3, 2 for 2, whatever it is. But no, I'm with you. Like I said, I just didn't think the Wolves needed another starter who can give you 20 plus. They've got 3 guys who can do that if you feature them, and Jaden, and then obviously Ant and Julius. I think this roster, that's one of the pushbacks I've heard from fans is like, yes, this team, Ayo is a winning player, or whatever, but this team still isn't talented enough to contend in the West, and I just don't see it that way. I think the roster is definitely talented enough. It'll just come down to more of a collective mindset. Will they be able to mentally play at a level that'll allow them to maybe dethrone OKC and win a championship this year?
Right. And like you're mentioning, my philosophy, particularly since we've been making the playoffs, like 2018, it was all about just making the playoffs. And then, like, whatever happened with the Jimmy Butler years. But I don't know. My philosophy, at least recently in the NBA, is just make a top 6 and then see what happens. Like, honestly, anything can happen. Injuries can happen. Guys can go cold. Guys can get hot. And we've seen that the last 2 years. Chris, you actually got to see your first game in a long time. It was running with the Timberwolves at the Wolves game last night. What have you liked out of Ayo so far that you've seen?
Well, I mean, like was mentioned, the pace of play is shocking right away. Like you notice it instantly. What I like is like there's guys that are willing passers, but then there's guys that are making the next pass to try to like, get an assist or like to try to make a play with a pass. And he'll do that a lot of times instead of just like swing, swing, swing. He'll come to him and then he'll like make a dagger pass to a cutter or something like that, or somebody or a Rudy under the rim he did last night. He'll get the ball early transition and he's one of the fastest guys in transition, but he'll forward the ball up to somebody else. Like he'll get off the ball and then get right back in the plays. So, like you said, efficiency of dribbles, efficiency of movement is really great by him. And then just the fact that we have another guy that will attack the actual paint. Like we're kind of a passive team outside of Randle and Anthony Edwards. Like everybody else is kind of more willing to like just swing it to the next guy or maybe shoot the 3. Like Jaden sometimes will drive, but it's even that's kind of like a slow sort of like awkwardy sort of drive where Ayo's like downhill full speed, and that pressure that he puts on the rim is just something that we needed to add. And then the other thing that I think was the most shocking was we have lineups, like you mentioned, did we do enough at the trade deadline? And I'm kind of on the team of, I don't know if we might have enough talent, but I don't know if we have the right skill sets. And what we fall apart at sometimes is like having a guy to get the offense going. And when Anthony Edwards wasn't in there last night, and it was like Dante, Jaden were kind of the ball guys. And I think Clark were in there. Like we had trouble just getting going. Like we couldn't get really the ball up court very well. And Ayo gives us that, is another guy that can bring the ball up, which even having that skill set is a huge add to us. So, I mean, there's little things that he's adding that don't seem great, but just getting the ball across half court without like really struggling with the pressure and getting that first pass off and the offense flowing sometimes is more valuable than people know.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. And Coach Finch was asked after the game, he says that Ayo plays clean. He takes it if he's there. And really interesting thing that he said is I'm comfortable putting him really with any lineup, which is really high praise considering he's only played 3 games and we've lost. I guess we've gone 2-1 on them. Charlie, I may be jumping the gun too much, but I want to get your opinion on this. Obviously, fans, like I mentioned, do jump the gun a little bit sometimes. Could you see by the end of the year Coach Finch throwing Ayo into the starting lineup, or do you like him better just coming off the bench? Because cards on the table, I kind of like him better coming off the bench. I know Chris has mentioned this a ton, but doesn't really matter who starts the game, it's who finishes the game. But I don't know. I don't mind him as a bench piece. But what do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you, Gabe. I don't see him really starting. I just don't see the value of starting him when Dante plus the starters, they've got a +10 net rating this season. They've got a good chemistry. I don't see the point in really messing with that for a guy who I think in Ayo is kind of like molded, handcrafted to be a great, great bench player. Not saying that he will never not be a starter, but I just think he excels when he comes off the bench and he can be sort of just like you said, a shocking, Chris, like you mentioned, a shocking pace injector. I just think Minnesota's bench in particular needs that more than the starting lineup does. I'm also in agreement. I don't really care too much who starts because it's like whatever. The other thing with so let's say like Dante goes to the bench and Ayo starts and Dante now plays more minutes with the bench lineups, with Nas, with Clark, whatever. My only concern with that is then Dante has been kind of a up and down shooter. And I think I would rather have 9 points by Ayo Dosunmu with 2 3-pointers made every night than Dante giving you 12 points most of the time, but then sometimes he's going to shoot like 1 for 8 from 3, like he did last night, 1 for 5.
Yep.
I think if that happens with Dante on the bench, playing into a lot of bench lineups, that would be more detrimental. But yeah, I just don't really see the upside, at least right now, in starting Dosunmu. I don't really see that changing as the season goes on.
Yeah, particularly when you watch Dante, and if you look at the box score, you see 1 for 5, and you're like, oh, I had another tough night. Like, if you watch that game, he's so active defensively, like making it so hard on Portland and the other teams that they play. It's just he's just and even if you look at the lineup distribution of what the best lineup for the Wolves, he's in most of them. Like, he's in like 8 out of 10 of them. He's a difference maker, even when he's not hitting shots. And if he's hitting shots, he's even that much better. Chris, what do you think on Charlie's point where just keep him on the bench? What do you think?
I mean, you got to juggle egos. Dante has been in the Western Conference Finals now twice with his team, and he was
only once
loud about the fact that he wanted to be a starter. Okay, that's right. Oh yeah, that's fair. But he was pretty loud that he wanted to be a starter, and like you said, we're a +10, which is like one of the highest for like the top most used rosters in the NBA this year. And last year, I talked about it often last year, our starters played they ended up being the second most behind the Knicks, but for a long time, we had the most minutes together. And we were like a +2, like going into the end of the season, where I think we pushed it up to like a +3.5 last year with the starters, meaning that we were not that good. Like we relied on our bench last year a lot more. This year, our starters are putting in that punch to be +10. That's great. So yeah, to have a guy like Ayo on the bench, and then like Gabe, you said, like what Finch said, we'll play him anywhere. He played a lot in the little bit that I've seen at small forward, like backing, like when Jaden was out. So, we're playing 2 guards and Ayo, and he's kind of like, he's long enough to do that. So I would rather have that Swiss Army knife that could maybe help at point guard or small forward, or maybe give us some shooting guard minutes off the bench than burn it in the starting lineup.
Right. And I think kind of with the Nas argument, for those who've been saying that Nas should be in the starting lineup, like, you understand when he's in the starting lineup, you lose that production off the bench. And when you got guys like Jalen Clark coming off the bench, who can be effective sometimes, but more better in a defensive role, I think you just lose some of the firepower off of the bench against the second unit. By the way, if you're watching, make sure to like the video. It helps us spread it to more people. So make sure to give it a like for sure. Charlie, let me ask you a question about the trade deadline. Was there anybody else you were eyeing at the trade deadline? Like, were you on the Colin Sexton train or the Kobe White train? Who did you want at the time? Like, who did you really think, or were you on the Ayo train? Which
I really was on the Ayo train. Kobe White definitely was a name I was watching, but then after the Wolves traded Conley, it was going to be, they would have, I think, probably would have had to give up Dante after that Conley trade if they wanted to get Kobe White. And then at that point, I don't think so. For whatever the Wolves did at the deadline to acquire a player who can be a rotation player, to have to like swap, so like to swap Dante for Kobe White, I think there's no point in that. The problem still exists. You've still got no production off the bench. So yeah, I mean, Ayo was on my list. I thought maybe they could go after a backup big man.
Yep.
I'm very high on Johan Berenger, and with all the minutes he gets, I think that I can't believe he is already as impactful as he has been. I definitely didn't expect to see this from him. But like you mentioned, Gabe, a big pushback with starting Nas is that I'd imagine that means then, well, I guess you could start Nas at the 3, but Gobert has to be out there defensively, right? Like Nas and Randle, I think have been doing a bit better defensively, but it's still been kind of a black hole. So I thought maybe another backup big man, someone more proven. I mentioned in a trade deadline article I wrote, like Kevon Looney or Clint Capella. Obviously, fans didn't really like to hear Kevon Looney. I get, he might be a little washed, as someone would say, but yeah, I don't know. I think, yeah, Capella could still, and just someone who could come off the bench, grab rebounds, and defend the rim in the event of a playoff series. And that's what I was kind of getting at with Berenger. Like, he's Beringer looks good, but I don't think you could maybe trust him in the playoffs yet. But no, I mean, I think the Wolves did. They bolster the bench, and I like how the rotation looks off the bench with Dosunmu, Highland, Reed, and then that ninth man can be Clark or maybe Beringer if need be. So yeah, I like what they did at the deadline.
Yeah, let's go to a comment here. Couch Potato TOV says Ayo was what we needed as far as future contract amounts. I heard White will be getting a lot compared to Ayo with a new contract. Charlie, what do you think? Do you think that maybe one of the reasons that we went after Ayo was he's not just a filler piece here? He could actually
Definitely
be a long-term piece that might be cheaper.
Yeah. Well, and I think from what I read, I think Bobby Marks tweeted out that because how the Wolves finagled things, they're going to be able to extend Dosunmu. Where I think if they would not have been able to extend Dosunmu if they didn't do that Conley trade, I believe, because that got them under the first apron. And you're right. That's a good comment by that person. That was the same thing with Colin Sexton. I think Colin Sexton would fit perfectly on this team. He's making too much money, and that's where you're going to then have to. I don't think the money would have worked with like just Shannon, Dillingham, whatever. So, and then I'm back to the same point of now you're swapping rotation player for rotation player. That kind of defeats the purpose, in my opinion.
Right, for sure. And then the other thing is there's a lot of people who are seeing that Rob Dillingham is playing decent in Chicago, and honestly, we've been doing videos. This is what I've been calling for. This is what I've been saying. Where, I mean, if Rob just gets a better scenario or a clean slate, he could actually probably do some things. And I think that's what we're seeing in Chicago, where there's ample opportunity. Chris, well, what have you thought of Rob and his new opportunity in Chicago?
Yeah, like you said, I'm happy for him. To get consistent minutes is huge for a kid, especially a fresh player like he. I mean, he didn't have a chance here. If he would have played amazing, I'm sure that we would have found minutes for him. But I think almost more than when we got Bones, I think it was like, okay, we've kind of filled that need for that type of player. Tim Connolly likes that type of player. And when we picked up Bones, I even mentioned it like way back. I'm like, I think he might play more than Rob. I mean, he's got more, NBA's chops already. And the cool thing about Rob, what Tim Connolly did is that was a 2031 pick basically that we got Rob for. I know there's a swap in there or whatever, but now that takes that future pick and puts a salary on it. So now that is something that you can trade to make cap stuff match, which you can't when you just have really high end salaries like we had. Like it's hard to do big deals because you don't have a 10 million or many $10 million guys or a 13 or a 14 or a 6. So now you've got an actual piece you can trade. So we basically got Ayo for what they were asking, which was a first round pick. We just made it into a name.
That's a really good point.
So yeah. I think it worked out great. I think it worked out great for everyone. And I'm happy for Rob. And I've somehow got on my algorithm some Chicago feeds and stuff. And it seems like their fans and their press are also excited about Rob. So that's awesome. I mean, if you can do a trade and the young kid gets a shot and we get like a rotational piece that we would have not been able to attach in free agency because of our, we're over the salary cap. Now we got bird right, kind of thing. Yeah. I mean, everybody wins.
Right. Charlie, go ahead and on that point.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, the first 3 games he's played Chicago, 21 minutes or 22 minutes, 22 minutes, and then 30 minutes where he then scored 16 points. That's just the type of runway that he's not going to get with the Wolves. And if he did get that type of runway, they would have been considerably worse because of it. So I'm with you, Chris. I think that's a good way to put it. It's a good outcome for everyone. That's a good point of about attaching salary to a draft pick, because at first it's like that's kind of the first ding on Tim Connolly in his time, right? You trade up for Rob Dillingham and then it really doesn't do anything, but it allows you to get a guy in Dosunmu who 26, he's a part of this team. He's going to be a part of this team. It's not just, even if you get him and you can extend him, it's not like he's 30 and he's only got a couple years left. He's going to be here for a while. And yeah, I think I just hope that
even
fans...
the term trade up.
Mm-hmm.
people use a trade up. We kept our pick that year too. So like
That's
all
true.
we use
Yeah.
is a future pick, really. Like in the pick swap, we still have a first that year. So it's really just a future pick. And sometimes those terms, people not putting it on you, but it's used throughout everybody, and it makes it look worse for Tim Conley. And I was like, there's a 2031
That's true.
pick. Like we'll probably be good. Like that'll be a the 15th pick in the draft at worst. And we got a pick higher than that. And, we got to use that as a trade chip. So I think sometimes the general, like these guys, these GMs are so smart, so smart. Like they're not fumbling the bag and he wasn't going to cut an asset that quick if he was sold on it,
Yeah.
Right. David Kahn's not smart. But other than that, although me and Chris have been talking for years that we want to do a video.
I was going to say, I'll back Kahn's side.
You and what army? You and his wife and his son. All right, quick break here. We'll be back in 30 seconds. A quick word from 612Ts. Today's show is brought to you by 612Ts.com. Cole at 612Ts designs awesome shirts for yourself or the Wolves fan in your life. Check them out at 612Ts.com and use the promo code RUN25 at checkout, or just click on the link in the description to get 25% off your purchase. That's at 612Ts.com. Link in the description. Yeah, use promo code RUN25 at checkout. Get 25% off your purchase at 612Ts. Cole, he's an awesome guy making awesome shirts. Check him out. 612Ts.
I second that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's working with you. He's working with everyone. he's getting around the Timberwolves circles for sure. Let's get into. We talked about Ayo. Let's get into Julius Randle. And he was spectacular last night. I mean, there are a lot of times the Wolves fumble around with a game that they're up 15 and they don't put it away. But Randle made sure that they put it away last night. I mean, it was just go to him every time, get out of the way, him out muscle people. And so, Charlie, why, in your mind, does Julius Randle deserve to be an all-star?
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, he's definitely been playing at an all-star level. I think, to me, the biggest reason why he deserves to be is just like you look at the points created off of assists. I think that's a big part of a player's production. Is it's not that he's just averaging 22 points a game. He's, I think, second in total, like 3-point assists as a power forward, or maybe he's first. Yeah. He's a true point forward, and he's been relatively consistent this season. And Finch mentioned that it was kind of, Randle kind of made a statement with these last two games. Maybe he was a little upset that he wasn't an all-star. And I do think he made a statement, not so much that he deserved to be an all-star, which I agree he did. Inevitably, there's always going to be some snubs. But I think the statement was more so, like you mentioned, I mean, this could have been these last two games, the Wolves could have crumbled and they could have just been like, whatever, the all-star break's almost here. We're not playing very well. They were kind of disconnected. Well, these last two games, Randle just didn't let that happen against Atlanta, the triple-double. And then last night he put up, a new Wolves career high, 41 points. I've been really impressed with his overall production. His energy, defensively waxes and wanes, but I think that at least the energy part of things is going to come around more consistently in the second half of the season with the playoffs more in focus.
Right, and let's be honest, as much as defense wins championships, offense gets you into the all-star game. Like it's always been that way. The all-star game, other than like Kawhi and LeBron, is not filled with two-way players. I mean, what did Rudy Gobert ever do in the all-star game? Nothing? Like a couple dunks.
Catch a few lobs, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I just, like you said, I think Randle has been fantastic. And the other thing about Randle is it seems like he wanted it, where Anthony Edwards sometimes is a little laissez-faire with the all-star, and rightfully so. Like, he can do whatever he wants, but, like shooting left-handed or not, like, playing or, like, BSing an injury or something like that. It seems like a veteran guy like Randle, who's up there around, like, 31, he must kind of want it. Like he
Yeah.
must want to kind of prove himself because Anthony Edwards. I go back to him. He no one's gonna question him. Like he's established. He is one of the top 5 players in the league. But Chris, what do you think? I mean, I felt like something. He would be really big for Randle if he could have gotten All-Star spot.
I don't know what to deal with. I think a lot of it is public opinion on Randall has always been negative. Like national opinion, like he's put up big numbers for like the Pelicans and they're like, oh, he's not a winner. He goes to the Knicks and he single-handedly drags that team into the playoffs, like an absolute trash team. And he was like a top 5 MVP thing. And they're like, oh, he's selfish. There's always these things about Randall. And even talking about his defense being not effective, like, yeah, he's an offensive based guy who literally is our point guard as a power forward. That's a lot of effort. And you know who else doesn't play great defense? Almost everybody who's a 25-point scorer. Like, you're going to have a very few guys that are playing defense. Most of those guys, like, look who Anthony Edwards defends on most possessions. It's the other team's worst player. And he's like standing in the corner. That's what they do. I mean, that's just how the NBA works. So to even kill him for that, I think is annoying. But our team is back-to-back Western Conference Finals. He was the sole reason we beat the Lakers last year. Like, that was the hardest team we played. Hoops Hype does this thing where it takes all your stats, puts it together, and it's like their global ranking system. All year he's been like top 10, top 15 in that. He's a stud. And to put up the numbers that he's putting up when you've got Rudy Gobert as a top 3 rebounder, like obviously that's going to take some of his easy rebounds at pad stats. And then you've got Anthony Edwards scoring 30-some. Like, that's going to take some points off of his table. So, I mean, this guy could be a lot putting up crazier numbers, and he's still a top 10, 15 player in the league. So I don't know what it is, but he for sure deserves it. Maybe there was too many forwards being added, so they had to put in a guard. But, I mean, De'Aaron Fox was even hurt for a lot of the year. Like, that's a crazy pull over Randall. But, put a chip on his shoulder and let's make him, even angrier come playoff time.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And I think, just to quickly add on that, I think Julius is a guy who he did last year. He thrives when post All-Star break, the playoffs are in focus. Now maybe he has a chip on his shoulder with the All-Star game passed if he doesn't, make it as an injury replacement. I think that's just, where he can thrive. And I think it's tough for players, not just Julius, to kind of, it's an interesting balance you have to keep mentally, I think, because while you can't be like focused solely on the playoffs the entire season, because then you're gonna drop some games you should win. You also have to remember how important every game is, and it's tough to do that. Mid-January, it's cold as hell outside, and you have to try to remember, like, hey, this game's gonna matter in April. That's tough. But after the All-Star break, it's not like a mid-season break. There's 26 games left. I mean, it's go time. The games start mattering. Playoff seeding matters, right? It's not like, the Wolves have been there.
Type stuff.
Yeah, like the Wolves are 4th and then they're 7th and they're going up and down. But now after the All-Star break, stuff's going to start solidifying. This is where I think Julius really is going to, and the Wolves team as a whole, I think too. But I think Julius thrives when the pressure's on, when there's a goal that's right there in front of them. So yeah, I do expect him to, like I said, he's been playing like an all-star. I think he will be even more amped up, coming out of the break.
Yeah, and if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to give it a like. Helps it to spread to more people. Charlie, you were saying that you might have an idea for Anthony Edwards to give his spot to Julius Randle. Like, is it plausible? Go ahead with that.
I have no idea. I really haven't. I just thought about it before the show because he said he might not be playing, which, Gabe, I think you were talking about it before the show. Like, Ant doesn't seem like he really cares too much about the All-Star game, which I don't blame him. him. And if Ant's going to be, I don't know how it works because he might just be like last year, he just didn't play. He should have played and he didn't play. And that was kind of a bummer because if he said it in advance, then someone could have replaced him. So if that does happen, it would be perfect. Ant would be thrilled. That would be a great thing if Julius can replace him. I don't know how that all works, if it's got to be position, but it's, an American player for an American player. I know that's part of it, right, with the USA versus world. So, yeah, if that could happen, that'd be great. But like you mentioned, Chris, I like Julius with the chip on his shoulder, right? If that's what it's going to take, right, for him to be kind of amped up even more toward the end of the season. Let's go with it. Let that,
Yeah, and
he played like that last
go ahead.
night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. But I was actually thinking, we were talking about wrestling, or at least I was, before the show. Maybe what they could do is when they introduce Anthony Edwards as a all-star, like when he's coming out, they're like, from the West team, or world team, I guess, Anthony, or US team, Anthony Edwards, and then someone in like a hoodie and like a mask comes in, knocks out Edwards, takes him backstage, and then Randle comes from the back and takes his spot.
Or he just comes out of a coffin like the Undertaker and just does a whole thing.
Yeah, dude, I would love it. Why not? It's the All-Star game. I mean, if you
Silver's got to try something different.
Yeah, I mean, let's bring some WWE, AEW into this. Like, let's make it interesting. We'll talk about the All-Star game in just a minute.
Let's have some player just suspend in from the ceiling and
yeah, like Sting used to do. Which I'm old. But by the way, if you have a comment, make sure to put it in the comments below. Let's get it. Like you were mentioning, Charlie, I was listening to Coach Finch, and you probably heard the same thing, and Randle as well. Randle was saying that this is like the funnest time of year for him. This is when it really matters. It's going to be a gauntlet. And in fact, he said when he's back from the All-Star break, he says expecting a full-out sprint. So he's in it. He's not a new guy who's just finding his way. He's like, I don't have that much time to be elite anymore. Like what, maybe 2-3 years? Like we got to get this done now. Like we gotta secure our playoff spot. It's going to be a gauntlet in the Western Conference, as it always is. And yeah, I trust in Randle. Actually, if you look at last year, out of the All-Star break, the Wolves had a very tough schedule. I think like 2 OKC games. They played the Rockets as well, some heartbreakers in there. Out of the All-Star break, they actually went 1-4. And then they went on that 17-4 run with 2 losses to the Pacers, of all things, without Tyrese Halliburton. But I got a feeling that coming out of the All-Star break, this team is going to be locked in. What do you think, Charlie? I just got that feeling.
Yeah, I do too. I'm completely with you. Just the fact that shiny prize of the playoffs is right there. I like that Julius is saying that, the full-on sprint. And I always go back to like you mentioned, let's say they have another 17-4 finish or something similar to that. Maybe not so stark. What does it matter if they lose twice to the Pacers? That's what I always go back to. And I know it's kind of like you can't expect the team to come out and say this, but I struggle with like if you lose 5 straight and you have that lapse, whatever, but you are a top 4 seed at the end, like, I don't know. I struggle with finding the balance of like, how much it matters. Now, if the team has that mindset, that's where you're going to rip off like 8 straight losses and now you're the play-in. But yeah, I mean, the focus, like I mentioned, right. It's the mentality of this team, I think, is going to ultimately be the deciding factor. Can they be mature enough to do what it takes to, like I said, I think they're talented enough to dethrone OKC if that's the case. But yeah, it'll be an exciting finish. I'm looking forward to seeing how it plays out.
Yeah, and you look at OKC. I mean, things can happen, but I mean, Jalen Williams went out last night. He got hurt. Shea won't play until after the All-Star break. And like I said, I'm not saying they're not going to have these guys in the playoffs, but you never know with injuries. Like the Lakers, they're not young. LeBron's not young. They've been having injury issues as well. Chris, what do you think? How do you think this team comes out of the All-Star break? Are you expect them all systems go, or are you a little more worried?
I mean, like Charlie was saying, and you were questioning if how much a win or loss here or there matters. I'm always on the side of it doesn't matter at all. Like if we've been to the Western Conference Finals twice now, like we've went through a lot of playoff teams. We've battled through long playoff series. This team kind of knows what that is. You just have to get to that game. Like the way that the seedings are, like you said, with injuries and stuff, like I think there's teams that really do care about we're going to push to be the number 1 seed. And I think a couple years ago we did that. And then I think there's teams that are like, I want to be the healthiest we can be come playoff time. We just got to be in. I think the Lakers kind of proved that when they won it from the play-in. Like it doesn't really matter that much if you're just be playing well and healthy. Like if you're a 4 or 5, like, who cares? And it's just matchup based. Like, you could play the number 1 seed and match up with them great. Like, if the Spurs weren't, up there, they would be a nightmare. Like, if they were the 7th seed, they'd be, a nightmare for like OKC if they ran into them. But, they might sweep the number 2 seed. So
Right.
it's all matchup based come playoffs. And as long as you're healthy and hot in the last like 10 games.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think, Chris, you cut off at the end a little bit there, but yeah. Hey, Charlie, I want to do something fun just because I just thought of it. What the heck?
It's okay.
Rank, in your mind, rank all of the playoff series since we started making the playoffs. Now, as in terms of excitement, now we'll go back. So you have the Memphis one, you have the first Denver one, you have the Suns one, the second Denver one, the Lakers one, and then the Warriors one, and then the OKC one. What are your top 3 out of those? I'll go. What from a fan and enjoyment? What are your top 3?
Yeah.
Out of those?
I would go. My first one would be that last series against Denver. I don't think that'll.
Yeah,
unless the Wolves like win the finals. That will be the best series that they're going to have. I don't know.
I think so.
That. After that, the Suns series was a lot of fun. Just the utter domination. Like no one expected that. No, like the storyline of getting just completely blown out in game 82. Finch, back in the locker room at halftime, probably doesn't want to play his hands. We just lets it ensue, and then you sweep a team that swept you in the regular season. That was a lot of fun. Ant versus KD. I'm between that for my number 2 and maybe that Lakers series last year. Again, Wolves proved everybody wrong. That was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, for number 3, I'll go with that Grizzlies series. For as much of a heartbreak as it was, that was just the amount of emotion that was it. Because it was still that like, hey, we're here type of mindset. Like even if the Wolves had gotten swept against Memphis, it was still a hey, we're here type of thing.
Right.
And I don't know, maybe it was because I was younger and I cared. I was more of like I had more of a fan mindset then, I guess.
Sure.
I love that series. A lot of fun. For as heartbreaking as it was, So
right. Yeah, and I will say, don't sleep on that Denver the first Denver series. That was actually more entertaining than you thought. And I know we had a tough year with the big guys fitting, but I remember coming out of that game 5 where they were just fighting in Denver, thinking like this team left it all on the court, and I'm so excited for what they can do next year. Chris, let's throw it to you. What are your top 3? I think I know the one, but I just want to hear where you'd rank them all.
Oh yeah, I mean the big Denver ones there. I like they all kind of mix together for me, but I really like you were saying that the Grizzlies one, because that's kind of when we saw playoff Anthony Edwards was maybe a thing. And I really like when you get to see that, like when you get to see these players make these jumps. So, yeah, I would say the I don't have a ranking, but I would put the Grizzlies one probably top 3, and then the Denver one for sure.
Yeah, I just remember like game 1. I'm looking it up now. Yeah, game 1, the Wolves stole game 1 in Memphis. Ant had 36 points. He shot 52% from the floor, 40 minutes played. I mean, that was just an insane game. That was really a coming of age moment, I think, for Ant. Not so much maybe for him. He's always been confident, but for everybody else to go into Memphis, obviously they're not the higher seed, and to do what they did with coming in with really no expectations prior to the season. That was a really defining moment, I think, in not only Ant's career, but, Wolves history.
Oh my gosh, at the beginning, I forgot the Dallas series. I forgot about that one.
Yeah, I mean, it was fun, I guess, but
it was fun. They were some fun games. There were some fun moments. And even looking back, like if I wasn't a Wolves fan and I was just watching Luka Doncic in that series, I would have been like, oh my gosh, like this guy's unreal.
Yeah. I just remember how tough it was because like everybody was picking the Wolves to win the finals. And honestly, like, I don't know. I think I was listening to like Lavelli Neal on K-Fan, and even he was picking the Wolves to make the finals. Or maybe it was Dan Barrero, someone who I didn't really expect to make that decision, right? It's always like, oh, the Wolves, whatever, right? And I couldn't even believe it myself. I'm like, wow, they might actually do this thing. And then they just completely run out of steam and they can't execute in clutch time. But yeah, that was actually that was a fun series.
That was a fun series. But the two Western Conference Finals series are tough for me just because of how bad they got beat in the game 5. Like, just ran out of energy at the end, particularly. Let's be honest, I don't think they were beating OKC last year, even if they played perfect. I think that was a team of destiny. Now, I know that Indiana took them to 7 games, but I think a lot of that was Tyrese Halliburton having the year of his life until the first couple minutes of the game 7, unfortunately. But I mean, like I said, I felt like you're mentioning, I felt much more sure that we could beat Dallas with home court advantage, with just how we matched up, than I was about OKC. But maybe we'll have another chance this year. My rankings, I mean, we've been talking about it. I mean, it's the Denver series is 1. I mean, how do you beat that? It's honestly, actually, some of the games weren't that close, but you had the game 1 shutdown of Jamal Murray, where I think it was either game 1 or game 2, where the Wolves held the Denver 35 points in the first half, and it was Jaden and Nikhil just locking them down.
And then, didn't they do that without Rudy too? Wasn't Rudy back in Minneapolis for the birth of his son? That was that game.
Did.
That was it was like game 2 or game 1.
So when he came back, the defense was worse, and they were like,
trade Rudy. Man.
Yeah, exactly. And then obviously, the game 6 where we're just destroying them at home. That was unreal. I was in the building for that one. Then, of course, game 7. I mean, I'll never forget that. By the way, Chris, if you got to get going, just let us know. I saw your private chat there. And then I would say actually number 2 for me, just personally, because I was at this game, and I say it's my favorite game I've ever seen live, was the Lakers series. That was unreal to beat LeBron and Luka and get revenge in that way. And just it was, and the game 4 where you had that phantom foul on LeBron, and man, it was just unreal to be in the building for that. So I will say the Lakers was 2. And then for 3, the weird thing is, personally, I missed a lot of the Suns series because I had stuff to do.
It didn't last very long. It was only 4 games. So
I remember I was at a Queens of the Stone Age concert. I don't know if you've heard of them, but we were watching our phones while during the game and just celebrating with random people. Oh, looks like Chris had to go, but celebrating with random people as we were just watching the ESPN score bug thing. And that was pretty cool. So I'll put Suns as 3 with a close, like you said, number 3B to the Memphis series. I mean, that was just some fun basketball. How fun is it to make the playoffs? This is,
I know. Yeah.
This is so much better than being horrible. So let's get back into the Wolves a little bit here. What do you know about Julian? Who's the guy we got? The other guy we got in the trade.
Julian Phillips.
Yeah. Do you know much about him?
Yeah, not a terrible amount. I really haven't been able to watch as much film on either of them as I'd like to. Just school has been getting in the way. But yeah, I mean, I like everything I'm hearing. Right, very athletic guy. The first thing I noticed when he got his first minutes in that Clippers game, he just looks like Rob Dillingham out there.
Yeah,
like I had a double take because he's wearing the same number. He's got similar hair. But no, I mean, I think he's a player that can fit the Chris Finch regime better than Dillingham or Minot, who's kind of similarly built to Phillips.
Yeah.
Obviously, right, like with Finch, it's tough to earn his trust and his minutes, but to be a guy who can defend at a high level, he's athletic, he can rebound. That's all things that are pluses in Finch's books. So he's definitely he could totally be like I don't think we could totally be looking back on this trade and be like, hey, that Phillips was just a throw-in the trade, and he's doing all this now. So still very, very young, and the upside's definitely there. So.
Right, for sure. Just taking a flyer on him. But you're right. He's wearing number 4 already. I guess they're not going to retire Rob Dillingham's number. I guess I wasn't sure if they were going to do that or not. But I guess they're not. He also wears the sleeves like Dillingham. So yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, is he back? But then you realize he's like what
6'9", 6'8", or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's like, okay, it's not Dillingham. But yeah, I mean, like Chris always talks about, there's a kind of a void at small forward for us behind Jaden. So maybe we'll see. Some guy goes down, maybe he gets some minutes. Let's talk a little bit about Jaden, because I think he's having the best year of his career so far this year, just from shooting, scoring, even defensively. What have you seen out of Jaden? And is it purely just better shooting that has vaulted him this year, or is it more than that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just it's more of a concerted effort from the coaching staff to get him the ball in advantageous situations, right? He's not just a 3-and-D wing. He's been shooting the three really, really well this year. But if you go back a year ago before January, he was a liability on offense, and now he is a guy who fans don't really want to trade for Giannis Antetokounmpo, right?
Right.
Like I remember there was some scuttlebutt. Well, not actual. There was like some like mock trades of like, hey, the Wolves could trade Jaden McDaniels for Cam Johnson. And there were some fans that were like, yeah, I could see that be get a better shooter next to Ant. And now over a year later, it's now we got to keep him over Giannis, which that's, I think when a guy like Giannis is on the table, everyone aside from Ant is at least up, in that mock trade or whatever. But it's fair because I think Jaden, his rapid ascension from where he was last year to now is really, really exciting for the future. And I've mentioned this before, I think on this show, Jaden, when he scores over 20 points, he's ridiculously efficient in those games. It's actually, I can't get over it. I think about it all the time. I can't exactly remember how many points he had last night. Yeah, 21 points, 7 of 13 from the floor. I mean, and that's just kind of run of the mill. Mm-hmm. That's or 9 of 11. He'll shoot that all the time. It feels like, and that is just so important when you're playing next to Ant and Julius. And if that can translate into the playoffs, which I don't see why it couldn't, because again, the coaching staff has had a more concerted effort to keep him involved. It raises this team's ceiling exponentially. And I'm really happy for him. He's a fun player to watch, fun player for fans to root for. And I'm glad he's making me eat my words that I had last year.
Yeah, for sure. Believe me, it was funny. Because notoriously people think that Chris hates Jaden, so we were at the game last night, and of course Jaden has one of the best games of his career. So,
yeah, right. He locks down Denny.
Yeah. No, Chris doesn't hate Jaden. He just thinks that Jaden is better used like guarding small forwards as opposed to guards. Like he thinks he's a better defender on bigger, maybe longer guys. Like we saw with Denny Avdia last night. Not necessarily a traditional guard, more of a kind of a more of a 3 kind of. So maybe speak on that. What do you think? Like, should we look on maybe put Ant on their best guard, or even Ayo or Dante, and then have Jaden kind of off ball a little bit? Chris has been saying that for years, that Jaden is a better off ball defender than he is on ball on smaller guards.
Yeah, he's right about that. I think I agree with Chris that, like, yes, Jaden thrives more when he can defend slightly bigger players and not guards. But I think he is such a good defender that if the opposing team's best player is a guard, you kind of have to put him on that player. I think it's beneficial to do that. Ant is a solid, very, very good defender when he wants to be. Jaden is, Finch just called him recently like they're Minnesota's best overall defender. And I think when you have a guy like that who can defend ones, if the best player is a 1, you have to have him on that guy. But yeah, I mean, I don't think regarding the defense, I'm really not too concerned. I think McDaniels makes enough plays, whether he's off ball and can help in low man or he's on ball. And, some matchups are just tough regardless of who the defender is, Gabe. Like when you're having to chase Steph Curry through screen after screen after screen, half of which are illegal. Kevon Looney used to, Draymond Green. I don't know what an illegal screen is after watching them play together, but it's tough. It's tough for any defender. And I think the way that the Wolves are using McDaniels now as a defender, it's working. He's a all NBA level defender, and he should be again this year.
Yeah, I totally agree. What do you think is keeping him away from like making an all defensive team? Like, is it just them voting for the same guys over and over? Is it bias for the bigger guys kind of? Or I don't know. I feel like it should be coming if it hasn't come already.
Yeah, I don't know. I think last year, I don't know if he was quite as impactful. Well, he wasn't defensively compared to the season where he was an All NBA, level defender.
Right.
22, 23, 24. The other thing that also goes into that is like the Wolves were the best defensive team in the league. When Gobert won a Defensive Player of the Year, that should mean something, right?
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's necessarily one reason. I think Jaden just gets really hard matchups, and sometimes when you get those hard matchups, even great defenders get beat. And you could argue that he's, like you said, I think that's truthful to say he's a better defender of wings and stuff, but it's still advantageous and beneficial to have him on guards, and sometimes that results in him getting beat. But yeah, I'm really just not. I think it's actually a really good thing that with Jade, you really don't have to think too much about the defense. You just know he's going to go out there and he's going to defend well. He's
Right.
he's going to foul too much occasionally, but he's not going to really like when a foul is called against him, he's going to be like, yeah, don't challenge. I don't see any other player doing that. That's a good part of his defense, right? He's not always complaining. You don't have to worry about that. But yeah, I mean, I think how the Wolves use him, like I mentioned, is kind of the only way to use them in a way, I think, and it's working. So,
right. Let's go to one last question here. One of our favorite watchers, or I guess viewers, M. Overland. He said, I think the idea was being floated with a potential Dante for Kobe White swap was that maybe Kobe White had more ball handling chops and could handle the OKC ball pressure better than Dante. So let me throw you that. I know we talked about Ayo earlier in the show. What do you think about Ayo? Do you think he has enough ball handling when push comes to shove? Now, obviously, he's a good scorer, right? And he's shooting well from three. Could ball handling potentially, just like Chris was talking about earlier, just getting the ball up court, be an issue against teams like OKC in a playoff scenario?
Definitely. I don't think there's any reason to say that it's not. Fans still shouldn't be concerned about it. I think Ayo is a good enough ball handler. I tweeted out that he was my favorite point guard target for the Wolves, and I got yelled at by some people. He's not a point guard. Well, he's a combo guard, but he can bring the ball up the floor and he can
positionless basketball. Positionless basketball.
Right.
Let's go, guys.
For what he can do, I think he's enough of a point guard. The other thing, you can't gear up for one team, right? The Wolves could, they might not even match up with OKC. I think Ant has taken enough steps this season as a primary ball handler where I'm not quite as worried about it as I was going into the playoffs last year, because the book was out on the Wolves last year that, hey, if you play fast, pressure the ball handler, that's a way to beat them. It's been the case sometimes this season, but again, I think I've got more confidence in Ant to run the pick, to bring the ball up the court. And like I mentioned earlier in the show, I think like a Dante for Kobe swap, I don't know if that would have been totally worth it, especially with Kobe right now. He's not healthy, and Dante, while he's not like a defensive stopper, he tries really hard on that end of the floor, and that's a big part of his game. Where like if Dante's not going to be shooting the ball well, like you mentioned, Gabe, he's going to be doing everything else well and being a plus 20 when he's on the floor. So yeah, I'm not terribly concerned with the ball handling, because again, like Chris also mentioned, a lot of it's matchup based.
Right, for sure. So let's get into some fun stuff. Let's just ask you, are you going to be watching the All-Star game? Do you still get excited for the dunk contest? Do you still get excited for the three-point contest? Or are you like, it's a Saturday night, I don't care?
No, Saturday night's been my favorite night of All-Star weekend for a long time. They've kind of did away with, I loved how the skills challenge used to be. Remember when Karl Anthony Towns won it in like 2017? Like it was like him and Isaiah Thomas. I love that. The dunk contest, I think it's tough for these guys to come up with new dunks. It's really not the same as it used to be. I don't, yes, bigger names would help get people to watch, but I get why bigger names don't want to do it. I think what would be the most fun would be, let's get Rudy Gobert and let's get, Zion Williamson. And let's see if Zion gets 3 chances to dunk against Gobert, and that's the challenge. The only problem is the degree of injury possibility is really, really high, so it's never going to happen.
Right.
But yeah, I'll be watching the All-Star weekend. I still like it. It's not as fun as it was. I don't think we're ever going to get back to that dunk contest with Zach LaVine and Aaron Gordon unless changes are made. We'll see what the USA versus World thing does. But again, I just don't think the players. I'd like to hear your opinion on that too, Gabe. I just
Yeah.
don't know how you get the players to buy into a game that doesn't matter when, like we mentioned earlier in the show, there's so much emphasis on health. Maybe it would be helpful to have the All-Star break be earlier in the season, because now so many teams are focusing on the playoffs. Ant is thinking about not playing so he can get healthier for the playoffs. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm with you 100%. I've said this. I don't care if Anthony Edwards plays in a pickup basketball game, which is pretty much what it is. I don't care. Now, I care if he gets selected, because I think that's an honor and it helps him make more money and blah, 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 and all these players. And I think it's a great thing. Like, for example, how much did the All-Star selection do for D'Angelo Russell's career? A lot.
Yeah.
And so I think the honor, honestly, what I would do, and this is someone who actually watches the All-Star game, and I used to say I would watch it because of just the shot making, like a guy pulling up from 50 feet and just chucking it up and making it. But now I don't even care about that anymore necessarily. I almost say just select a team, like name an All-Star team, because then you don't have injury replacements either. Like, just name the team. You could still do the 3-point contest or the the dunk contest and the skills challenge. Maybe go away from an actual game.
Yeah.
Like, let's have, I don't know, like you were mentioning, I love that Zion and Rudy idea, but let's have Durant and LeBron go 1-on-1 to 21.
Yeah. Well, and like Barack Obama was on, like, I think, like Old Man in the 3 podcast with Tyrese Halliburton, and he said, he's like, you guys know how to play pickup basketball competitively without getting hurt. They do. They do it in the summertime. That's what Obama said. So there's a way. I just think that the fact that it's in the middle of the season, it's tough to get these players to. You know what? It's also, I don't know who said it. I think it was a former player. It's like, you got to remember that All-Star Weekend is taxing on the players. All the media traveling to stay. I mean, they're in LA, staying at a 5-star hotel. I get it, but they're not where they want to be. They're not like Julius. If he doesn't get selected as an All-Star replacement, he's going to go wherever he wants and spend time with his family, right? And that's what I think a lot of these players want to do, and instead they are, at All-Star Weekend. But I actually really like the 3-point contest. That's now been my favorite, because I think there is still, like, when Cat won it, that meant a lot to him, and that is something that we can look back on Cat's career and be like, yes, he's the best 3-point shooting big man, because name me another guy who his size who has a 3-point contest, trophy, right?
Exactly.
That I think is still. Now they've got the 4-point, whatever.
Does Nowitzki have one? That's my only question. I don't know if he does.
So. I don't, because he really never was a 3-point shooter.
Let us know in the comments if he does. I don't think he does. But you're mentioning players caring about the 3-point.
He did. He won it.
He did. Okay.
Well, 2006.
Well, they weren't shooting the 3 back then anyway.
He did. I'm sorry. He did. He won it in 2006. But the thing with Nowitzki is he was never a 3-point. That's why I always say, like, Cat is the best 3-point shooting big man of all time, not the best overall. Whatever.
Right.
You got a lot of other guys.
Yeah, no, and Cat's win was epic, and you could tell that he wanted it. Yeah, and like Nowitzki, and if it's Cat and Nowitzki anyway, that's a pretty good group.
Yep.
Like that's kind of where you want to be. And like you were mentioning with the players wanting it, it's pretty clear that players would rather be in the 3-point contest than the dunk contest, because you just look at the star power here for the 3-point contest. Booker, Knipple, Lillard, who tore his ACL.
Yeah, he's always doing it.
And he's in the 3-point contest. Maxey, Mitchell, Murray, Bobby Portis, okay, and Norman Powell. But Bobby Portis would be the star in Carter Bryant, Jackson Hayes, Kashad Johnson, who
I know.
Cards on the table, I don't know who that is. And Jace Richardson, I guess Jace Richardson's kind of fun because, like, what did his dad?
He's undersized, yeah.
Like, what did his dad? Does he got something? I actually, and people clown Mac McClung for winning it. I think there was no reason to watch it if Mac McClung wasn't in there. I was excited to see him dunk. I thought he was super fun to watch.
Yeah,
like he was a man among boys, even though he was the G League guy.
Yeah, well, the G League integration has been cool. Like when they did last year, where it was like they had like the G League team, and there was like a circuit, and there was the chance that the G League team with Leonard Miller, could, or I think Leonard Miller was on that team, could, whatever, win it all. Like that was cool. The theory of it's cool. Will that actually happen? Probably no, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think you got to give credit to Adam Silver for trying new things, but you can't keep doing what has been done. And I'm with you. I don't know. Maybe at some point you just remove it. You just like, we're not going to do it. You guys lost the privilege, if you want to say that.
Yeah.
But I do think it's a good point to bring up that, like with Wemby tried very, very hard last year. Like it meant something to him, or at least he made it seem that way. I think that was truthful. And like Ant, he could have cared, he could have cared less, right? So that is probably part of it where it comes like starter voting. Would you rather see Ant probably not even play, or if he does play, not really care too much, or would you rather see Steph Curry? Like,
yeah.
As much as I totally am in agreement that like Ant is more deserving of being an all-star starter than Steph Curry. When that's the track record, maybe that's part of it. Right.
Also, at the end of the day, is his card going to say all-star starter?
Right, exactly.
It's going to say he made an all-star team, and that's really all that matters at the end of the day. So as we wrap up here, give me your predictions. Who wins the 3-point? Who wins the dunk contest? I know you've been watching a lot of Carter Bryant's practice film to see what he's going to pull out. But let's start with the 3-point. Who do you got in the 3-point?
I want to go Con Kneppel, but I think it's tough to go with a guy that young because it's like, I would imagine it's really tough to be the 3-point. I mean, the entire place is watching you. The lighting's weird. The court was illuminated that one year at green. I'll go Con Kneppel. I kind of want to go with Bobby Portis just out of spite because you were not too thrilled about him. And then in the dunk contest, I'll go Jace Richardson because that sounds like a fun. I think he's like. I mean, how tall is he? What is he's 6'1", and that's maybe a little generous. So yeah, that'd be cool if he pulls it out. He's the next Mac McClung.
He's gonna do the thing where he like takes off his Magic jersey and his dad's jersey. That will happen. I can guarantee. I was gonna go Con Kneppel, but then first years I don't think unless Con starts a new dynasty. I think if Con wins, he wins like the next 3. In my opinion, but I don't know, like maybe Maxey, maybe because it's different.
Booker.
It's different than catch and shoot, right? Like where you're kind of it's like grabbing over here and then bringing it up and shooting. It's not like they almost need like a Dr. Dish. I don't know if you had one when you were
right. Well, that's why Cat kind of excelled because he had that weird jumper. Booker is really quick and smooth, so Booker actually is probably. He would probably be the one I want to see Kneppel winning. It would be cool, but
like I said,
if I had to put money on it, I would put money on probably Booker.
Just the guy who's going to be motivated. I think that to show that he can stick with him, maybe Norman Powell. Like, I could see him being super motivated because he's like that fringe kind of all-star guy who's like, he's good, but is he that good? I could almost see him winning. But like you said, I'm rooting for Con Kneppel. And then the Jace Richardson, sure. I mean, I don't
this is a little off topic, but with Jackson Hayes, did you see that video of him shoulder checking the mascot and he was suspended a game for it? I think it was the Wizards mascot.
I heard that he did that. I didn't see the video though. It
was bad. I'm like, it was just it was not a very good thing to see happen. But it's just
what was the like was he like kidding or was he like
I mean, I don't know how you can be 7 foot, shoulder check someone and think it's a joke. Like he completely, and it was it was the mascot was then launched into a cheerleader running onto the floor. So it was just not good.
Don't they have that weird mascot? Like isn't it like blue and like almost kind of like the Philly Fanatic, but like a bad attempt at the Philly Fanatic? I'm almost positive.
Here, it was the Wizards mascot.
Yeah. I would like to see the mascot like get up and like get in like a fight stance and like let's go.
Apparently the whoever the mascot is taking legal action against it.
Oh my gosh.
I don't blame him. I don't know too much about the actual situation, what unfolded, but that was
right. Yeah. I mean, like you're in that sweaty suit, you're throwing shirts to everyone. It's hot, and then someone shoulder checks you. Like you don't need that. Like,
Well, yeah, and he's just a gigantic human being. Like if Jace Richardson tried to shoulder check the mascot, it would be a little different than, not that either player doing it is worse or better than each other, but still, just Hayes is a humongous human being. So yeah.
yeah. By the way, I'll show it on the screen in post, but the Wizards mascot, like I said, it's kind of like Philly Fanatics, like this blue Smurf thing, with kind of like a hat on. I don't know. It's not my type. I think we're spoiled with Crunch, to be completely honest with you, because some of these.
Well, at least he doesn't scare people like the Suns gorilla mascot thing. That thing is, oh man.
Have you ever seen the Pelicans baby, like from the oh my god,
Jim Peterson's arch nemesis.
Yeah, yikes on that one. But hey, I guess you got to get creative. Honestly, the Pelicans. If you're a Pelicans fan, like what's the Pelicans and Kings fan? Like what are we doing?
Yeah,
like
the Kings. What's the Kings? Isn't the Kings just like a lion?
Yeah, but like I mean their franchise in general. Like what?
Yeah.
What's the plan in Sacramento? Like what?
Dude, I don't even get me started on that. I feel so bad for Kings fans. I don't. And then the fact that they didn't blow it up at the deadline, I guess it has to be now this summer. But honestly, to me, and this is probably going too in depth of it, I think what the Kings, their lack of like blowing it up might just be like a testament of like a front office that's a little scared to make a decision. We'll keep around enough talent to be like kind of relevant. Now they're not, but they were, like with DeRozan and Levine, like we make the play in again. You blow it up, and now I think you blow it up, it sheds light more on the fact that you lost 2 all-star point guards that could both be cornerstone pieces.
Yeah.
And then it just sends the team back into another rebuild, which Kings fans just do not deserve at all. I can't believe they didn't build. I can't like that 2020. I went and saw a Kings game that year. I saw the Wolves play the Kings 2022-23. The building was electric. And then to now where it is now, it's really sad. Really, I genuinely feel bad for Kings fans.
Yeah, it's crazy and they haven't lit the beam in a month.
That's horrible. That's horrible.
If that tells you anything, that's the downside of having like a thing you do after the win.
Yeah, right.
Is that if you don't do it in a while, it's kind of like, oh shoot. And they won't. I don't know if they play tonight, so it might be another week until they get to light the beam. Well, Charlie, thanks so much for joining. Yeah, they don't play till Thursday. It is a home game though, so if they can beat
the Magic, maybe.
Yeah, I mean they're not firing on all cylinders either, so maybe
they just got blown out to the Jazz are actually they had some players. Yeah.
Well, you heard about Jaren, right?
Yeah. He's done for the season.
Which is probably the back saying, "Hey, get an injury." I mean, I'm sure he's hurt, but like, I'm sure they're not trying to rush him back.
Yeah, there's no sense in it. Yeah.
But anyway, Charlie, thanks so much for joining the show today. We really appreciate it. Tell everyone once again where they can find you on the internet.
Yeah, Charlie Walton MN on Twitter and Instagram, and then catch me at Zone Coverage.
Absolutely, and it'll be linked in the description. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe on YouTube. Give us a 5-star rating on Spotify and or Apple. And as always, go Wolves.